Good morning, Pleasantville Elementary families. We look forward to the day that we can all get reunited again together here at Pleasantville Elementary. And I know it's tough times for a lot of people. So we want to let you know that we're all on the same page as far as the difficulty of this. We understand you need grace. I know we need grace. But any love and support we can get from all of you as we get this year started is going to be fantastic. But we look forward to a great year, and we know that's going to happen. Attached to this video will be in our Facebook page our elementary return to learn guide. As you know, Dr. Aylesworth sent out information through our Facebook channels with links included that can give you more details about it, but I'm going to kind of summarize what that kind of looks like from the elementary side. So take a look at that return to learn guide when you get a chance, and dig into the details, because I know me saying it verbally and you reading it, sometimes the combination of it will help solidify what's exactly going on. So we're doing this as a plan in response, obviously, to the COVID-19 pandemic. And our building handbooks that you might find on our school's website still remain as a reference for school expectations. But obviously, due to COVID, we have to make some changes along the way and react as things come up. So first of all, with communication, if you have not subscribed to the school's Facebook page or follow it, please do. Also, and this is critically important, no matter what, even if you're in a pandemic, is that we need updated email addresses and cell phone numbers on file in our JMC system, as when things pop up, we use that information to send out text alerts. So some examples you might recall from the past would be power outages, gas leaks, water line breaks, things of that nature, where we've had to cancel school or have an early dismissal that wasn't expected. You can also refer to our district website for any current news, but that's how we're going to communicate issues as they come up. All right, we should be having our traditional open house on the 26th, as school was planned to start, of course, on the 27th, but I want to let you know that our traditional back-to-school open house has been canceled. There's going to be a virtual open house in video form coming soon, where we'll be able to show you some of the classrooms and the teachers so that your kids have a familiar face. All right, the big issue, of course, is our school calendar and schedule. I know a lot of people are aware of what's going on. As you're probably aware then, the district, in response to our school board meeting on the 11th, is planning to start in a hybrid mode for 9 of the first 11 days for kindergarten or transitional kindergarten through 12th grade. So this basically means that half our student population will attend in person, while the other half attends virtually through a computer device to do different work. Now, at the beginning of the year, there isn't a whole lot of academic stuff that begins originally, because we have to train kids on how things operate here. We don't just jump right into math and reading right away sometimes, but we will get there. Families that have registered have been notified of which day their child will attend, either the A days or B days. And when you're not in attendance day, that's your virtual online day. For more information about that, make sure you see the links from Superintendent Aylesworth on our Smart Start Return to Learn plans, as well as the schedule, and an FAQ document, frequently asked questions, that he has, as well as the schedule. So a lot of important things there. 4-year-old preschool is going to start on Thursday, September 3rd. I know teachers are contacting parents currently about setting up play dates at our new playground, which we're excited about. And the preschool start and hybrid schedule will be a little bit different than our other student population. We plan to resume our normal in-person instruction, and for parents that chose online only, that will begin on September 14th, which would include a late start day. Those of you that are familiar with Pleasantville schools know that on Mondays we traditionally have a late start. That will begin September 14th. Preschool will go back to their normal practice of having school Tuesday through Friday, which would be then September 15th. Our normal school day begins at 8:10. That means kids need to be in the building and in their seats Tuesday through Friday, and 9:40 on Mondays. Our school day ends at 3:25. At 3:20, we start loading our buses up. They'll depart, and then at that point, we'll be able to load kids into vehicles, or they may get on their bike or walk home. Just some updates on health and safety. Currently at this time, face masks, face shields, those sort of things are required for our staff. They are optional for students, except on the Fridays of September 4th and 11th, as detailed in Dr. Aylesworth's plan. That's the days that we have 1 o'clock dismissals, and all students will be in attendance. Students will get a chance to see what it's like to have a mask on if that's the direction that we go. We don't know that at this time, but it's always a possibility. As you see with districts around us, especially surrounding the Des Moines metro area, of which we're fairly close, but Knoxville and a few others are also on board with masks, but we have some around us that are not. And so we haven't made that decision. We're going to use this early start to kind of take a look and see, what's probably best practice at that point. We're going to have other health and safety procedures such as plexiglass shields in certain areas. We are limiting parent, community members, and adult visitors. Please schedule an appointment to come in, but you're going to be restricted to the office. That means we won't allow you to eat lunch with your kids. We're not doing a Trojan Tromp at this time, and so on. Other health and safety measures, we're going to social distance as much as possible. It's very hard in preschool through kindergarten. It's going to be hard no matter what. We're going to have high school kids tackling each other in a football field. So social distancing is going to be interesting, but we're going to do the best we can at all times possible. There will be increased cleaning and sanitation procedures. Please, if you're sick, don't come to school and spread it. That could only mean bad things. And if we think a hybrid schedule is tough now, or going completely virtual is tough, imagine if we have this spread occur. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. We ask parents to screen their children daily, right before school. If they, of course, are over 100.4, please stay home. We're going to do frequent and regular hand washing procedures. That's going to be mandatory. We always do a pretty good job of that, but we're going to make sure we're even more diligent. And we're going to try to get some like dots and things like that in the hallway that'll help kids understand when they're in the hall how to properly social distance. In this Return to Learn guide, you're going to see a map at the very end that's going to show you how kids are going to come in and exit the building. Traditionally, kids came in and out, in most cases, our front doors. This year, we're going to try to divide our kids so that we maintain better social distancing protocols. So 3rd through 6th graders are going to enter and exit down the west side of our building, which would mean between the elementary building and the football field. We call that Suite Street. Back when we used to have trailers out there, or the suites as they were known. They're going to enter and exit out the northwest corner closest to their playground. The front entryway is going to be designated for 1st and 2nd grade students. That way they are the only group that's going to walk through the main hallway out front. Our preschool, TK, and kindergarten students are going to walk down the east side of our building through the new preschool playground and enter through the doors on that north side. I know once we train kids it will become easy, but to start with, for a lot of us, it's different. Classrooms are going to stay in their cohort groups as much as possible. We're going to have some of our specials teachers taking those kids in and kind of mixing a little bit, but those rooms are larger. Our art, computer, and guidance classes will be in the classroom, whereas PE and music will be in their designated classroom, at least until further notice. For library, we're not going to use just the library. We're going to open up the cafeteria for additional space so kids can read there and spread out even better. Lunches this year will be picked up and taken back to the classroom. Recess is going to be in small groups. Traditionally, we've let the entire grade out, but because of this and to try to maintain social distancing, even though we have a lot of room, and we're thankful for that, students are going to be just by classroom teacher to spread that out even more. If you have a 5th and 6th grade student, our kids are going to be rotating at this time from room to room. It will look very similar to what they would experience in the junior high and high school, as those students are going to be rotating room to room, of course. So we're going to sample that out and see how it goes. If we feel like we need to change that and make the teachers rotate, then we will make the teachers rotate and the kids will stay in their room all day. Part of that decision is because of science and labs and things like that. It just makes it easier if we can move kids, but if we see some issues with that, we will stop. We're going to do some screening each day, but we do ask parents to do that first. Please don't send them, and don't send them if they've had medication to try to take that fever down. That's just going to increase the spread and cause more problems. If your child is sick, please call our office at 515-848-0566 and leave a message. If no one answers, we need to know as fast as possible so we can start doing contact tracing and things like that if necessary. Students should stay home if they exhibit symptoms of COVID-19. And I know this isn't Dr. Aylesworth's notification, but if you've been exposed or to a person or a confirmed diagnosis, you should follow CDC recommendations to stay home, quarantine for 14 days, and monitor your health. In those instances, you can ask to be on our online program to take virtual classes, so to speak, and we will accommodate that. It'll just take time to get devices, etc. As far as face coverings at this time, our school board has approved the procedures we have in place right now, which is that face masks and shields are required for staff and currently encouraged for students, but not required, except on September 4th and September 11th when all students will be here. In the buses, those are required. We are not going to have face masks available for students. We might have some in limited supply, but there's not guaranteed. So please bring your face masks on those days from home. It would be good to maybe even send kids with multiple, and if you can have their names on them, things like that, that will just be helpful. We will have hand sanitizer and, of course, hand washing availability throughout the day. Our custodians and other adults in the building are going to be cleaning frequently and trying to make sure that we have paper towels readily on supply, as well as soap, etc. We may ask students to wipe desks in work areas, especially in certain areas where we might have kids rotating through. Our PBIS system is still in place. PBIS is the Positive Behavior Intervention and Support, and what we do in that system is we try to, instead of using a reactive and consequential-based program, we try to reward kids for doing what is right. And what we look for is kids being respectful, responsible, and safe. And I can only emphasize that this is going to be much more important when we deal with a pandemic situation. So a lot of times with our PBIS, we like to have assemblies. And as I stated earlier, all of our assemblies at this time are going to be canceled. We'll do virtual assemblies. And with our Trojan Tromp, I know which is a very popular thing, that would be probably bringing in an extra 200 or so adults into a building with already 450 people. We think that that's too much of a risk. And so at this time, our Trojan Tromps are canceled. I may look at an outdoor option, but that doesn't do us a whole lot of good when the winter comes. So more details to come on that. With no open house, as far as it comes with classroom materials, I know that typically people bring that on that open house night. We're just asking you that on the very first day of attendance that kids bring their school supplies. Please bring them in a plastic Ziploc bag labeled with their child's name. We're not going to share school supplies in groups. We're going to keep those with their own kids. We're going to take our desks and work areas and have them as far apart as possible. But I want to be very transparent in that it is impossible to keep 6 feet of social distancing in our classrooms. In some cases, our smallest classes are 21 kids, as high as 26 or 7 in others. And so our brick and mortar structure just doesn't have the ability to space kids 6 feet apart in those situations. But we will do the best we can. And we're going to limit carpet time as much as possible, and those types of things to keep kids safe. We already talked a little bit about recess. Again, we're going to be in much smaller groups, but we are encouraging our teachers to get the kids outside as much as possible, to include walks, reading outside, or other opportunities, because we know that some fresh air is going to help, especially on those days that we have to have masks. Trust me, I find them a nuisance too, but I also am old enough to remember when seatbelts felt like a nuisance and they were choking us, and we got over it, and it'll be okay. If that's the route we go, then that's the route we go. We'll do frequent bathroom breaks with our kids and make sure we get as much hand washing as possible. We're going to try to limit our transitions in the hallway so we're not in the same common areas as often. When it comes to breakfast and lunch and milk programs, we're still doing those. It just looks different. In the morning, breakfast is available for students. We're going to limit capacity in the lunchroom to a number of students. If we hit over capacity, then we're going to send those kids down to their classroom to finish their breakfast. Lunch is going to be completely eaten in the classroom and supervised by an adult on duty. Again, that's mainly because we can't fit kids in adequately enough and try to keep the 6 feet social distancing. If you choose to send your child a lunch from home, it's not going to be refrigerated, so make sure you pack it with an ice pack or only send non-refrigerated items. There's not going to be access to a microwave or a refrigerator for any student. The milk cooler is only going to be touched by adults, so no students will be allowed access to the cooler. We used to have a share table. The share table is also no longer going to be allowed because of the touching by multiple students. Also, because of snacks and contact, we want to make sure that we emphasize that no outside snacks will be allowed at this time, and that includes classroom snacks, birthday treats, and other special food items that you might want to share with other kids. Whatever your kid brings to school, that can be theirs, but we're not going to share those types of things. And I know that's a bummer with birthday treats. Trust me, I get it, because I get 400 birthday treats here, and that is why I have a weight problem. Field trips are going to be also canceled until further notice. Hopefully things go well there. School pictures are on September 9th. You'll be receiving information from Mrs. Cook on how to have a packet and fill that out when that date gets closer. Water fountains are not going to be available. We will have water bottle filling stations that will be available, but we do ask that students bring water bottles from home with their name on it that they can take home and sanitize nightly. If you're unable to purchase a water bottle for your child, just let us know, because we've had some very nice people in town want to make donations to help kids there, and so we will have some supplies available if you're not able to do that. Transportation, we're asking parents to transport their kids as much as possible. We still will have busing. Busing, though, will be restricted at this time to only students that are in the country. And you can talk to Doug Thill, our transportation director, or Dr. Aylesworth for some more details. But I do know that if you live in the Trailer Court area or Fairview Drive, that does not include you. You are going to have to not be able to ride the bus at this time. Maybe that will change. We're going to look at how that process is going to begin with. So everything is subject to change at any time. We'll just put it that way. Our buses will be deeply cleaned on a regular basis. And hopefully everything goes well there, but our drivers are going to dismiss kids row by row to try to limit the flood of kids coming off and then space as much as possible. All right, I know a number of you have received information about our remote learning option, which means getting a school computer if needed, school Wi-Fi if needed. Again, you can contact the superintendent's office if you need some assistance on any of that. And you have chosen to take your schooling at home to avoid risk. I know we have students with underlying health issues or families that are very concerned, and they've chosen that option, which was directed by the governor as a possibility. And we're glad to be able to accommodate that. What we have asked on that, of course, is that instead of trying to yo-yo people back and forth, is that we make a commitment to a 6-week period to stick to that remote learning. At the end of the 6-week period, you'll get a notification that time is expiring, and you can choose again to either return face-to-face or continue with the remote virtual learning again for another 6-week period. We also understand that kids will get sick during this time and need to be quarantined. That doesn't stick you to the 6-week period. That sticks you just to the quarantine period. So if you need online remote learning for a temporary amount of time, that is okay. What we don't want is a parent saying, I want remote today, and now I don't, and we're going to go on vacation. Can I have remote now? That's not going to be how the system works. In remote learning, students will be able to view some whole group instruction for reading, math, and writing, and in some cases, science and social studies at different grades. Otherwise, most of the stuff that's on the remote learning side will be independent work that's going to be provided in those areas. Specials will not be available for the video part of it, but they are going to give you some things and activities that you can do online as well. Make sure you just look at our Return to Learn guide in that section. One real quick thing I want to point out to parents is sometimes we see in social media or through words that people are using the word homeschooling. I want you to know that when you use the word homeschooling, that indicates that you have no contact with the school. You're doing everything on your own, including finding your own curriculum, doing your own teaching, etc. You're not using our school computers, curriculum, and teachers. So my suggestion would be, instead of saying that word, use the online or remote or distance learning option instead, because we would be speaking two different languages from the school side of things and the community side of things. Homeschooling and remote learning or online or virtual learning mean different things to us. All right. When it comes to, there's a lot of other things that are in this that I want to point out. Just if your child has a 504 plan or an IEP, and we're in this hybrid setting to begin with, your kids will still come on the days that they are there, but we're going to do our best to accommodate. And if your kid has an IEP, for example, we could either bring your child in for some SDI minutes on the days they're not in attendance, or we can do those SDI minutes remotely or online through computers. So our special ed teachers will get in touch with you on that. Let's see. If your child tests positive for COVID-19, we will basically go through a process of contact tracing. And what that might mean is that if we know of a kid that's been within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more, we will contact those families. We'll keep things confidential, but we'll recommend that they need to self-isolate and quarantine for that 14-day period. And that is why it's very important that we don't send our kids here sick. And again, I want to emphasize, I know no one's super excited about the hybrid or online version. Our data from our community survey of about 500 people said 67% of the people wanted face-to-face instruction. And if we want that, we got to make sure we keep everybody safe. Those decisions aren't made by us. I know Dr. Aylesworth shared that basically we're going to be utilizing the county positivity rates, the community spread. And so if we hit that 15% mark, we don't really have a say. We're going to go into hybrid, and that's why it's important to have those text alerts, because we could find out that morning that our positivity rates on the county average have escalated tremendously, and we'd have to go that route. Just case in point, Lucas County, one county south of us, is at 19% as of Tuesday, which means they would have to start, if they were starting their school year right now, they'd have to start in a hybrid mode. If we hit over 20%, then we have to go into the virtual or online remote learning mode. So we want to keep this as minimal as possible. And last thing I saw was that Marion County was at 6%. Again, but if we hit 15, everything can change. So it's very important that we keep kids home if they're not healthy. Just a reminder if you need to come to the school, we're going to try to restrict the number of people in the office area just to maintain social distancing. And plus, if we have a kid that exhibits signs of COVID, we're using our conference room to keep them so we can kind of limit their exposure to certain places. So we ask that you make appointments in advance. So if you know you're coming, you can even call us from the parking lot and see if it's okay. But if we say, we've got a few people in here, just wait a little bit, then you can see as people enter and exit the building and take turns. If you have questions, obviously contact our office or the superintendent's office. If you have technology questions, you can reach out to Angie Graham, our technology director, and we'll be gladly in touch with you. So look through that Return to Learn guide. Also be on the lookout for the virtual open house night and just other cool things that we'll get. But your teachers will be back to work on August 24th. So before the 27th, you'll get information on how to access your online materials. We'll get you your devices if you've chosen the virtual option. We might even have to get it out to everybody because of the hybrid schedule. So all that information will get released. It'll just be a little bit, so if everyone can be patient on that. We appreciate everything that you guys are doing and sacrificing to make this all work. And we wish you all the best through the rest of your summer. And most of all, stay safe and go Trojans!